some more. It's not a huge fish, but I'll tell you, they don't come easy. Let me show you what I got that one on. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. You're watching In Deep on the Delta. This is the first In Deep on the Delta weekly fishing report for the year of 2025. It's January 2nd. Hope all of you had a great new year, a safe new year, and I hope you're all ready to have a great 2025. So thank you guys for tuning in. I want to start out with a picture that was sent in by Anthony Ribbit. I hope I pronounced your last name right, Anthony, but Anthony sent me in a picture of some of the old sunken houseboats out at Herman and Helen's Resort off of the 8 Mile Road. And I want to show you this picture, and it's just an eerie picture of these old sunken houseboats, and it brings back memories for me of maybe 15, 20 years ago, maybe longer than that, when Herman and Helen's was just a bustling Delta place. They had a launch ramp out there, gas, they had great hamburgers, people always there. It was bustling through the summer months, a lot of skiers going in there, buying ice, buying beer, just a lot of good times. And now all that's left is some sunken houseboats and some sunken docks, and it's kind of the ghost of Herman and Helen's. But man, what a cool picture, and I just want to thank Anthony for bringing back those memories, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that have been out here for a while have those same types of memories. Next on the agenda, before we get into the report, I've been getting a lot of forward-facing sonar questions, and those types of questions are hard to answer, me just typing out what I think about them. So what I'm going to do is at the end of this report, I will take a few minutes to let you guys know that have sent in all your questions and comments asking for my opinion. Just hang on till the end of the report today. I know a lot of you guys don't give a hoot what I think about it, forward-facing sonar. You guys will be able to cut out the ones that just want the Delta information. And the guys that want my forward-facing sonar ideas and feelings, you can stick around for a little bit. So with that, let's start off with a report from Clear Lake. I've been in contact with Clear Lake Outdoors. Crappie fishing is going wild. Those of you who know Eli, the NorCal angler, he's been posting some just slab crappie up there, look like 2-pound plus fish. So the crappie fishing is doing very well. The largemouth bass has slowed down, but the potential is still there, and that's what we're looking for. You know, the potential right now on the Delta, if you have a good day, it may be, 13, 15, maybe 17, 18 pounds. Although Clear Lake is slow, the potential is better for getting bigger fish. Nino, one of the employees, a lot of you guys probably know Nino up there, good fisherman, knows the lake. He had a 28-pound bag a couple days ago, pre-fishing for the New Year's Day tournament. Now, we'll see how he does in the New Year's Day tournament, but Nino was able to pull a 28-pound bag. The report from Clear Lake is that if you know the lake, and if you are a decent fisherman, you have forward-facing sonar, go up, take your chances, and you may come up with a pretty darn good bag. Guys are fishing LV 500s, they're fishing swim baits, they're fishing deep diving crankbaits. I know they didn't mention this, but a lot of guys fish A-rigs up there this time of year. If you are looking for live bait, you guys that may be going up there crappie fishing, Clear Lake Outdoors does have live bait, so make sure you stop in. You can get your minnows there. So that is the report from Clear Lake Outdoors. Let's get right into the Delta news. Let's go over a little bit about what's going on with the golden mussel. And I have also been getting a lot of questions about tournament circuits and things. So what's going on with the tournament circuits? The BBT, I've talked to Randy Pringle. I think I reported last week. Randy is going to have a golden mussel circuit that will be just strictly Delta. So for you guys that don't want to get off the Delta, the BBT is something that you might want to be looking at, and Randy keeps his website up to date. You can check with the BBT website. The Bass Hole, Rob out at the Bass Hole, he's got, his team circuits are out on the Delta, so it's not going to affect Rob's fishing at this point. I think he's got one coming up January 19th. I should have wrote down that. Look, you can check out Rob's site for that. He's got a tournament coming up. The Wednesday nighters out here, I talked to Richard out at CNC Marine, who's one of the directors. No changes there. They're going to be running the Wednesday nighters. Of course, those are all Delta-related tournaments. The two tournaments that may be a little different, number one, Anglers Press. I talked to Vince. He's got that top 70. As of right now, he's leaving everything in place. And as you know, Vince has, I think there's 6 or 7 tournaments on his circuit. The last tournament on Vince's circuit is on the Delta, but that's kind of an interesting situation for Vince because that last tournament's going to be several months down the road. I think mid to late summer, so he may have to change, wiggle in something there. But if you have any questions, you can give Vince a call, or actually, if you look on Vince's website, he keeps everything up to date pretty much. So that's the Anglers Press top 70. Not a whole lot changing as of today, but keep up with that. NorCal Bass, Dave from NorCal Bass has been posting. He's pretty much, his Delta tournaments are going to stay intact, but the thing about Dave's tournaments are he's going to charge a little more to get in. I think they're going up from $150 to $200 entry fee, but he's going to be paying 100% payback. He's also going to have big fish pots and high roller pots. So for those of you who maybe don't want to do a full circuit, you want to come in and fish a smaller circuit that pays more money, you might want to check out NorCal Bass, and that would be something to come down, fish the Delta, not have to deal with 75, 100 boats generally, but come in and maybe make some pretty good money. I did look on Dave's website and I could not get the information right now, so I'm going to give you Dave's number. He posts it all the time. If you have any questions, give Dave a call at 415-341-3775, and that's for NorCal Bass, and that's a smaller tournament where you could get some pretty darn good payoffs in. So with that, let's talk about river conditions, and there is a changing little piece of information here that is going to be real important for a lot of guys fishing the Delta. Water temps reported from 48 to 52, and these temperatures above 50, 52, 53 degrees, they're midday temperatures when the sun comes out, surface temps. Generally the water, we're talking about 50-degree water out here, 1 to 5 feet visibility. I'm at Paradise Point out here. It's Wednesday the 1st, and I've got perfect visibility out here. It's about 5 feet, just perfect for the Delta. Here's the rub. My friend Russ, who is an avid pilot, and he's got a small plane, he flies over the Delta almost weekly. And, well, you might hear a sea lion coming right here at Paradise Point, and he's got a striper in his mouth. It's not a real big one, but you might hear him barking and slapping a fish around. Anyhow, very few, I haven't been out a whole lot, but I haven't seen a ton of sea lions out here, and the pressure is extremely low. Here at Paradise Point today, I think we have, actually it's New Year's Day, and there's already about 6 boats out here in the parking lot. So I think a lot of people want to get their New Year started off right. But anyhow, I was talking about the visibility out here. Russ has been flying around. He said, man, all of the islands out here, Steve, they're all flooded. What that means is all the farmers are going to start pumping these islands. So when I talk about 1 to 5 feet visibility, depending on where you're going out of, there's going to be localized visibility that changes. As these farmers start to pump out the water that's on the islands, it's going to cloud up the water. So you may find very deep, dank, muddy, dirty water in a specified location. You may go a half a mile down the slough or down the channel, and it may clear up. So think about that, and also think about as we get more rain and if these islands continue to flood, which they always do to a certain degree, but if we get a lot of rain, they'll be pumping a lot, and the visibility will be localized in some areas, and that means it'll be clouded up and a little dirtier in some places than others. So take that into consideration, and let's get on with the reports. Very few people going out, and really no striper reports at all. My friend Mike was out. He took a buddy of his out just bank fishing. Mike Greathouse, thanks for sending me the pic, Mike. A friend of his is out. We're out fishing just off of 8 Mile Road. They picked up a legal striper, just out for a few hours, fun day. So we got a picture of that one up there. So congratulations to going out and getting a nice striper off the bank. I do know that they're catching a lot of big red ear sun perch and a lot of nice crappie right down off of 8 Mile Road, down by Telephone Cut. You guys that are local know where that's at, and that's a place that you can come and fish off the bank and catch some fish. Now we got some guys coming down here in a couple of these boats, and this is not a pisser. This is a 5 mile an hour zone here, and we got these jackasses, whoever they are, just blowing right through. Isn't that great? Pisses me off. Man, can't even think straight. That's not a way to start off 2025. All right, where was I? Gosh darn it. Oh, Free Spooling Keith. He's been out, he's catching fish. His bigger fish are coming on Free Spooling Keith. Thanks for sending in the reports, Keith. It just reminds me of another little situation with these jackasses. They don't realize that there's guys that are out there in kayaks and could be right around these corners. Another reason that this is just gets me, it's not safe, and anyhow, Free Spooling Keith has been out. He's been catching fish. Not all big fish, but he's gotten fish to 4 pounds, and his key to success for the bigger fish is throwing jigs. Thanks for the reports, Keith, and I hope you keep getting those reports, and I hope you don't get run over by some jackasses like this went behind me. I talked to Rob Cloutier. Rob had been out one time and he did not do well at all. He was not happy with what he caught. And his reports have been slow. What did I do? I went out the 26th and I had a great day. I posted a video on it, and shoot, I forget the name of that video. We'll post up that video right now so you guys can see it if you want to watch. But my success was due to hitting it the right tide, the right day, and just before a storm front. Pre-storm front come in. Everything was was set up, and I knew I wanted to hit that high tide. And the reason you want to fish high outgo tide is because as we get this rain, there's a lot of water coming down into the system. So on an incoming tide, it's kind of a push. You got water coming into the system, tide kind of pushing into that. You don't see a lot of water movement. The water will basically stays at high tide all the time. If you have any water movement, it's that high outgo, when you not only have the tide that's pulling everything out, but you have the water coming in from the colony and the sack and everything else helping to push that outgo tide. So I went out on that particular day. I wanted to fish the high outgo. I got out there at the right time, and it just happened to be that the storm that was coming in that evening, the front, everything was lining up perfectly. I fished for about an hour, didn't really catch a whole lot of fish that first hour. I think I might have got one bite. And then all of a sudden, as that breeze picked up and I felt a little cooling come over, the fish started biting. I started moving around a little bit more. I was throwing an A-rig, and I think I had 13 or 14 pounds with a couple fish over 3, and I think all the fish that I caught that day were actually keepers. So that was a good day. I'll take that any day. And like you said, the key to the success there was I just hit the right time, the right day at the right time, and I moved around. The fish weren't grouped up. I'd get one here, one there. Didn't matter if it was a point, if it was in an inlet, if it was, you know, a lot of my fish came inside a marina, but I think wherever I would have been fishing, I would have caught some fish. So that is the report for the Delta. It's pretty slow. We'll keep you guys informed for next week. We'll let you know if anything's happening. Okay, so here we are to the point of the video where the report's over, but I'm going to give you my, for those of you who want it, my opinion on forward-facing sonar. And I'm going to start off by saying you really have to think about your level of angling skill when you're buying forward-facing sonar, because the forward-facing sonar will only help you to the degree that your level of skill can correspond with that technology. And I'll say right off the bat, I don't have one on my boat. I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. And being a YouTube guy that fishes a lot, I have had over the past 3 or 4 years a chance to go out with lots of people on lots of different boats and lots of different angling experience. And I can see how it affects each boat, each angler, and I think I have a pretty good idea of why some people love it and why some people hate it. So with that, think about your level of experience before you go out and buy one, because if you're a beginning angler, I would suggest not buying a forward-facing sonar. If you decide to go out and buy one, I am a big fan of the bigger screens. If you can, 12-inch, 10 or 12-inch, I'd say 12-inch for me would be a minimum. I would like to get a 15-inch screen, and I'm not one of these big screen guys. A minimum of about a 10-inch screen, and I'm talking about if you are on a bass boat. On a kayak, you can get away with a smaller screen because it's closer to you. So maybe a 10-inch screen on a kayak, or maybe even a 9, will be fine. On a bass boat where you're standing up, maybe you're 6 feet from the screen. If you've got that small 9 or 10-inch screen, I know I'm not digging that. I went out with Christian Ostrander a couple weeks ago, and he had the 15-inch screen, and I thought that's a little overkill until I used it. But because there's so much definition and fine-tuning involved, that bigger screen really helps. So with that being said, if I was fishing only deep water lakes, I would have had that thing first one that came off the market, as long as I knew they were working. I think a lot of the people that bought them, the first ones off the market, number one, had problems with them because there was either an installation problem or there was an information problem. Either they didn't install them right, it gave them a lot of problems, or once they even got them installed right, they didn't have the wherewithal to use the technology to the best of its ability. And that was, it's been around for 7 or 8 years. It's gotten popular in the last 4 years. Right now, there's enough knowledge out there that I think everybody that I've been on their boats in the last 6 or 8 months, they've had it set up and dialed in right, so it was giving them the right information. And there's enough online information on how to read these that everybody's been dialed into it. Now, with that being said, anglers with less experience, there's a bigger learning curve. When I went out with Christian, he had it dialed in, and really I think the turning point for me was as Christian and I fished Don Pedro, starting off at 6 in the morning to maybe 4 in the afternoon, my feelings of how much that piece of electronics could help changed a whole lot. First, when I got out there, Christian was giving me a lot of information, and I'm thinking that my technique is pretty good, and as far as casting, I can put a bait where I need to put it. And when he was showing me the fish on the screen, even if I was off by a foot or two, it made a huge difference, and I didn't know that. As I was looking at the screen, I figured I can flip out there and do what I needed to do, and Christian would say, you know what, you got to get it in that tight box. When I really started to get on my game and put that bait in a tight box, which, and I don't want to brag or anything, but I can do that because I fish a lot, and I can put my bait in a very tight box, and that helped me because I knew exactly where my bait was in accordance with the screen. So when you're looking at that screen, you can say, okay, I know my bait's going to drop right here, because if you can't pick your bait up, it's hard to put everything together. I hope I explained that right. But with that being said, if I was on Clearwater Lakes, man, you need that. Will it work on the Delta? Heck yeah, it does. I've seen it over and over. Randy Pringle, when he had his, I think he had, yeah, I gotta hate to say it because Randy's sponsored, and I forget what he had on it. And he was showing me where the fish would come right out of the vegetation, and you could see them. You could see your bait. You could really help to depict where the drop-offs are. Now, if you're fishing the Delta and it's 2 feet of water and you're punching or frogging, yeah, you're probably not going to use it. If you're striper fishing, you're probably going to use it all the time. If you're looking to find ledges and points of ledges with subsurface vegetation and points underwater, subsurface vegetation, you're going to find those. Alan Fong. Alan is a big believer, and Alan says, you know, he doesn't look for fish, he looks for structure. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and as long as you can find the structure and find the fish, that gives you the idea of what those fish are holding on, and gives you the idea of, I need to change baits, I need to change speeds, I need to change colors, I need to change whatever it may be. Or if you need to change locations, you can go to another location which is similar to the location that you were, and you know fish are holding on that location. That's a lot to take in. But anyhow, you know, between Alan Fong and Randy Pringle, Christian Ostrander, 3 different ways these guys, you know, use sonar. And Christian looks for a fish. He doesn't fish unless he sees a fish on there, which I found kind of crazy at the start because I'm figuring, you know, there's got to be fish out there. But after, like I say, about a half a day, when I was able to see a fish and he says, let's fish for that fish, and we were able to catch individual fish, it was a real eye-opener for me. I have also fished with a lot of guys that are not professional anglers, and they also show benefits. It's just that their benefits, I think when I went with Christian and Alan and Randy, their benefits are almost, I'll say, 90% of the time. With less experienced angler, their benefits are maybe 50% of the time. There are times when their eyes get this big and say, look at that, I saw this fish, or I saw this or that. And at that point, it's great because they've just learned something, and you know that incrementally they're going to get to, instead of being able to use that technology, 50% of it, they're going to get to the same place that Randy and Christian and guys like Alan are, where they're 90% sure what's going on in there. I hope that explains it. I will probably have forward-facing sonar on my boat soon, and I believe the best that I have seen, unsponsored, blah, 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 is the Garmin. And I would love to go with that 15-inch screen. Lowrance is good, Humminbird is good, they're all good, but in my opinion, that new Garmin is about as good as it gets right now. All I need is a few extra bucks, and I think I'm gonna go for it. So guys, thanks a whole lot for watching, and go out there and catch some fish. Send me a report. We'll see you next week. Good luck.